For the next few days, I'll be exploring and hiking all over a super underrated part of Oregon. So I think I just found like one of my favorite swimming holes ever. I'll show some clips next. But we're in the Detroit Lake area and there's just like so many rivers around here. And this water is so deep and it's extremely cold, but it is so beautiful and I honestly don't ever want to leave. Low-key though, this is kind of the coldest water I think I've ever been in. But with cold water comes very clear water, so I put on my snorkel mask and I was looking at all the little fish below the surface, and when I tell you there were a lot, there were probably hundreds of little fish below me. So we're doing our first hike in a while. It's along the PCT and we are hiking out to Square Lake. It's kind of like maybe like a half an hour from where we're staying in Detroit. And it's super beautiful. And it's like a little bit less hot today, so we figured we'd go on a hike instead of spending the day at the lake. Since this hike is in a wilderness area, you will need a permit, but they're self-issued and free right at the trailhead, so it's super easy. This hike is a little exposed and definitely doesn't have very much shade, so I would recommend doing it earlier in the day or later in the day, or on a day when it's not quite as hot out. So all in all, this hike's about 5 miles round trip, but it has less than 500 feet of gain. So it's pretty like easy going, which is kind of nice because it's super hot and dusty here. So I definitely wouldn't want to be doing something super hard today. But I'll leave an AllTrails link in the description in case you want to try it. It's honestly super beautiful. This isn't a burn area, so you'll definitely see a lot of burned trees, but you'll also have views of Mount Washington and Three Finger Jack and the areas coming back from the burn, so honestly it's getting lush and beautiful again. So there's like a crazy amount of overgrown manzanita along this trail once you get towards the lake. So just be prepared for that if you do come here, and I would maybe wear long pants if you can. It was hot out, so I didn't wear long pants, and I definitely suffered a little bit on this part of the hike, and my legs got a little bit scratched up, but that's okay. The best view of the lake is actually up above the lake right before the trail starts descending down on it, so I would definitely stop here for a little bit and take in the beautiful views around you. So being me, I somehow scraped my leg on like a branch. I don't know what it was, but it was really bleeding a lot, and I'm not going to show that, but kind of hurts, kind of sucks, but we're almost to the lake. This was also my reminder to re-up my first aid kit because I didn't have any large band-aids and just had to use a bunch of little ones. So I would say if you're looking for a hike that has like super easy lake access for a lake day or to go swimming, I wouldn't choose this one. Although it's really pretty, there's not very many like access points to the lake and they're really small. But with that being said, it's a Friday and there isn't a single other person on this trail. So if you want solitude, I would definitely choose this one. And you can definitely swim in it. It's just a little harder to access. The next day started off with a short drive to the trailhead, and in true Oregon fashion, I was stuck behind one of these log trucks, which is definitely my worst nightmare. All right, so we're still in the Detroit Lake area. We actually traveled like 40 minutes south and are hiking up Iron Mountain today. There are actually quite a few ways you can do this hike. I opted for the middle length version of it, which is 3.5 miles round trip and 1,368 feet of elevation gain. If you want to make it easier though, you can drive up a forest road and park closer to the summit, which cuts out some of the elevation gain and distance. Or you can make it longer by doing it as a loop trail, which loops you back to the same trailhead that you parked in. I'll link the version that I did in the description below. Once you get to the summit, there's actually a platform and it has some of the most incredible views of so many of the Cascade peaks in the distance. That little circle thing I'm passing by right now will actually tell you which peak is which, and on a clear day you can see so many mountains in the distance. This trail is decently popular and can definitely get busy, but somehow we lucked out and had the summit entirely to ourselves when we were there. And as we were wrapping up taking photos and videos, a bunch of people started showing up at the summit, so it was my cue to head down the mountain. The downhill on this trail was actually pretty gradual too, which was super nice. So we were on our way back to the car and there was a sign that said Hackleman Old Growth Grove Trail, and I like a big old tree, so we're gonna go check it out. So this trail was only like a mile round trip with basically no elevation gain, and it just winds through this old growth forest. So I would say if you like old growth and large trees, it's definitely worth a stop, and it was super easy. It's incredibly hard to show the actual scale of the trees, but on the sign it says the largest trees in that grove are over 500 years old, and they were honestly huge, and it was so worth stopping at. I also just so happened to be the only car in the entire trailhead parking lot, which is kind of my favorite thing in the world. So I found this trail near where the RV is today, and it's called Independence Rock. It's only about 2 miles round trip with like a little less than 400 elevation gain, so that's what we're doing today. I am definitely the first person that's been on this trail in a while because I am walking through spider webs. Honestly though, that's kind of my curse on every single hike I do, because either I'm doing a super obscure weird one like this one, or I'm doing a popular trail but I'm doing it incredibly early in the morning, so I'm usually the first to go. So this is definitely one of the more off the beaten path hikes. You just park on the side of the road and off like a forest road, and it doesn't seem like it gets a lot of traffic because it's pretty well overgrown. If you decide to do this one, don't be like me and wear shorts. I would definitely recommend wearing pants so your legs don't get scratched up. So I finally see the rock. It looks like we're going to be heading up there, and we only have like 0.1 miles left to go. This part of the trail was super cool once we got to it, because you were actually starting to finally get above tree line and get to see some of the views that would be waiting for you once you got to the top of the rock. Alright, so I made it to the top in about 20 minutes. It's a super short hike and it's not too steep, but honestly the views are so beautiful up here. Since I'm originally from the East Coast, these smaller mountains with pines all over them honestly kind of reminded me of something from the Appalachian Mountains, which was super beautiful. Alright, so we just left the last RV park. We're currently heading towards Eugene for just one night, because we're on our way to the coast, but that's like a 4-hour drive from where we were, and the cats do not like driving more than like 2 or 3 hours, so we're just going to stop in Eugene for the night. So I will take you guys along on what we do. I don't think we're going to do too much, but we're definitely going to get out of the trailer for a little bit. Alright, so we made it to Eugene. Right now we're going to stop at a brewery first. We're stopping at Oakshire Brewery, and then we're going to run a bunch of errands because we're heading out to the coast, and we're kind of going to be in like a smaller town on the coast. There's not going to be a whole lot around, so we're doing our big city day today. We ended up getting one of their hazy beers and sat around and got some work done for a little while right before heading to the next errand, which happened to be Trader Joe's. I haven't been in an area with a Trader Joe's in so long, so I needed to stock up. I ended up buying a plant from Trader Joe's. When we moved into the RV, I used to have maybe 50 plants, and I donated them all to friends, so now I have a new plant. I did end up bringing some of my original plants from my apartment into the RV, but a lot of them sadly didn't survive their first RV winter. And this is the haul. I've actually found if you aren't buying all their pre-made stuff, Trader Joe's is actually pretty cheap. So I'm pretty frugal when it comes to RV living and like to stay in the really cheap RV parks or cheap campgrounds in general. But since I was only staying in Eugene for one night, I actually paid for a luxury RV resort called the Premier RV Resorts, and it was actually so nice. So we left Eugene maybe half an hour ago or so, and we're on our way to the coast. We're heading to Bay Point Landing, which is an RV park that looks super nice, right near Coos Bay. I haven't done too much in that area, so I'm super stoked on it. Dwight also got right in his crate today, which he never does. And then Nico is not really acting too sad, so I'll take that as a win. I know I literally just said I don't stay at a lot of really nice RV parks. This spot's actually for a job I'm working at with Hip Camp, so I am super grateful for the opportunity. And I will definitely share more of it in next week's video. Please like this video and subscribe, and thanks for watching.